Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 1992 Toyota Celica GT4 RC ST185. Now this is based on the 5th generation Celica that was produced between 1989 and 1993, but since the GT4 is its own high performance model of the Celica liftback variant, this was actually the second iteration, as the GT4 lasted between 1986 and 1999. And this version is the homologation rally edition, with 5,000 being made, and it's got some extras on it over the standard GT4, as well as obviously the standard Celica. So it's got a modified bonnet to give more air to the engine. It's got modified bumper, which is not only lighter, but it has again more inducts to let more air in. But crucially, it has a water to air intercooler rather than the normal air to air intercooler, which is useful not just for competitive use, but is also better in terms of maintaining performance under strenuous conditions. So it's a cracking vehicle, this overall. It's easily my favourite version of the GT4, especially in terms of looks. Prefer it to the ST205, which we've already used on Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, purely because of the looks, even if it's not quite as powerful or as light. But yeah, it's still really rather practical, being based on the normal Celica. As you can see, plenty of room in the boot there, and it's also got plenty of space in the rear for passengers. So it's a practical car, but at the end of the day, it's also a car that can tear off your face and also deal with off-road conditions, being based on a rally car. So yeah, interior is a little bit bland, but everything's there that you'd expect it to be, and it's hardly going to fall apart being a Toyota. But where this car rules best is under the bonnet with its really rather good engine. It's a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 with 232 horsepower and 224 pound-feet of torque. So yeah, that's a pretty formidable amount of power. Now granted, it's not as much as the subsequent GT4. It's the same torque, but it's got 23 horsepower less, and it weighs a bit more at 3,219 pounds. But yeah, it's a worthwhile compromise, because I on the whole do think this looks a lot better than that car, and for whatever reason I find this to be a more responsive vehicle in terms of driving. But yeah, overall this is a car that not only works on the road but also works off-road, and it has that to back it up in terms of its rally wins. It won 16 full World Rally Championship Series, also won the 1995 European Rally Championship and the 1997 Rally of Malaysia. So yeah, got a lot of pedigree going on underneath, but at the end of the day it's also a really good looking two-door coupe. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So yeah, as you'd expect, with less power and a little bit more in the way of weight, it's not as quick as its newer variant in the form of the ST205, but I really do not care, because the looks alone make this car worthwhile. But then, like I said before, for whatever reason I feel like this is a more responsive vehicle, despite the fact it doesn't have the anti-lag system that was prominent on the next version of the GT4. And I have no idea why it feels more responsive than that car, in all honesty. But it doesn't really matter, whatever reason, it just feels that way to me, and I'm the one driving it, so you know, whether or not it's pleasing me or not is really all that matters. And yeah, it really does please me, and it's easily one of my favourite 90s Japanese cars. Really the only other version Japanese car that can really beat this is the Supra, which again I prefer the early 90s version compared to the late 90s version, which seems to be a bit of a theme with me in Toyota, but that's just the way it is. But yeah, it's a brilliant vehicle. I love how responsive it is. The all-wheel drive system really does provide all the grip you could need, on-road or off-road, and yeah, it's got plenty of power as well on the go. And even though it does weigh a bit more than the later version, it's still a really rather lightweight car for the period. You look at other all-wheel drive coupes from the same period, and they weigh more than this, or larger cars in general. So yeah, really do like the size of it, the weight of it, and the all-wheel drive system keeping the handling in check. but it's also really rather good in terms of acceleration. 0 to 60 in 6.7 seconds, 0 to 120 seconds, and it will go into a really rather good top speed of 158 miles an hour, which is really rather reasonable even by today's standards, let alone back then. So yeah, it's a cracking vehicle this, and yeah, it really does give me hope that they'll put the ST165, which is the predecessor to this, and then we'd have all of the GT4s that have ever been released, which would be only a good thing as far as I'm concerned, because I've always really wanted to try that car out. And considering they've been putting on plenty of Toyotas and, you know, other cars that we've never had before on the Forza game, which is something we're going to be looking at next week, it does give me a little bit of hope that we will get something like that in the future. But nonetheless, this is a great car and a great addition to this game. And yeah, you have to get 50% on the festival playlist at the moment in this season to get this car. I know it seems a big ask, but only took me about half an hour to an hour to do that, and yeah, got the car, and it's a brilliant car, and it's well worth the effort as well. So yeah, get out there and get it while you can, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.